Qyjon the Icon. I'm on camera, I'm in my art studio, you know what I mean? And thank you for coming out and shooting me. But yeah, I'm a collage artist, a real artist who is concerned and doing my best to bring real creativity to what I do as a collage artist, a mixed media artist, and a person who likes to make furniture, you know. And what does Joliet mean to me? Joliet means a decent amount. I actually do love Joliet. One of the reasons that I love Joliet is because I do like people who are going to survive regardless, right? I love niggas. You can edit that out.
No, that's
I
okay.
love illegal immigrants fixing tires for $20. Like,
right.
I love furniture stores that have no label, that you go in there and, you know what I mean, you can haggle, right? Like, I do like that. I say unfortunately because it is extremely dangerous in Joliet. Mm-hmm. Plenty of times I've been driving and I get an alert on my phone and tell there was just a shooting.
Right.
There would be like right there. However, a lot of the times when I look into it, you know, rival gang members, pretty much people who were about that life. I haven't seen like a straight bullet hit, or drive by, Joliet. It's mostly the same type of violence you usually see in the inner cities or cities where it's like rival, you know, the young men battling for territories, you know, stuff like that, or a couple of domestic disputes. But you know, so it hasn't gotten so bad to where I want to like, oh God, I have to leave Joliet. Oh my God. But it is like, you know, I'm at the gas station like, hey, I'm just, listen, I'm not involved, so we pump and let me go. Like, yeah, so yeah. I would say yes and no. From what I've seen, there's plenty of pockets throughout the year, 2 times a year, where there are events. Because I get invited to a lot of the craft shows, right? And those happen at the mall all the time, so you can go there and you can see, you know, a local painter selling his or her stuff. They have a lot of the where you walk, like the farmers market type deals. They have a lot of those, right? But to me, those aren't like fully highlighting talent per se, and it's nothing comparable to Chicago, right? Where there's always, you know, artists cohorts, and they live together, and they paint together, they do shows. So that's why I say yes and no. It's like anything else. If you really want to do something, where there's a will, there's a way. You're gonna find a way. So Joliet, at least from my perspective, when it comes to a local artist, they're finding their way. It could be way more popular, but once again, we have the unfortunate close proximity to Chicago, where we have a diluted view of what's the possibilities. Like, that's one of the greatest cities of all time. Right? That's not the average city. So if you put Joliet in comparison to the average city's artist scene, it's doing fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, there is no like, you know, we say like this person's from Chicago. Like, we don't have the artist that's like from Joliet. You know, so like, you know, but the art scene is fine because you're always gonna have to be traveling with art. You always have to be doing more and going where the people are at. So Joliet is doing as much as it can for a local artist, but it can always do better. You know what I mean? And that's hopefully something I can help foster. But it's not doing a horrible job. Many things give it to me. So a lot of conversations with people give it to me. Like a lot of my art is explanatory without language. That's like one of my favorite things to do, is to bring something to your awareness without having to overly speak to you, right? So like I don't kind of be contradictory, but I say through conversations. So I made one of my favorite art pieces based on a conversation about Eminem. And it was saying, oh, Eminem is corny, Eminem is cheesy. And I remember when they were picketing in the streets for Eminem, right? So I made an art piece to kind of explain that. Right, I made one of my most famous art pieces. Speaking about that jump, to stay on topic, that creative jump. One of my most famous art pieces is an art piece that depicts the war on drugs. To a person below the age of 30, the war on drugs seems like they wouldn't do that. Like, no, they were giving people 100 years for crack cocaine and 1 year for powder cocaine, and they were locking people up for a joint, and you would get your student loans taken, you would get your spot on the basketball team in high school taken away from you. You're a social pariah for the same marijuana they're selling at the gas station. Right. I have an art piece that clearly depicts that. You look at it, you see the horrific nature of it. I don't need to overly explain. So my artistic jump comes from that want inside of me to facilitate understanding at the highest level, right? Because when you look at artwork, art works sometimes if it's good, right? Or if the person is open to it, it can work quicker than words, right? Mm-hmm. If I show you a red octagon, you're not sitting there, S-T-O-P, no, you don't stop. Right? So some art can be art at the highest level, or art that's really good can be so jarring that you get it instantly without language needed. Of course, to decipher through all of it, you need to eventually think in language, but overall, the spark that comes to me when it comes to creating or making any artwork is me being, you know what I mean, a teacher. I wanted to explain things, right? These tables right here, when you do filming or whatever, mm-hmm. it's about the like in-depth beauty and multidimensionality of women, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to just say that most women are multidimensional. No, you're going to look at this and you're going to see old lady, young lady, black lady, tall lady, fat lady, long hair, short hair, makeup, no makeup, afro, no afro, natural curl, C4 hair, silk press hair. You're going to see all of it, so I don't need to explain. You look at this and you say, there's a lot of different types and variations. Because one thing that made me want to make the feminist work that I make is just how every woman has to operate as like a low-level Picasso. Mm-hmm. Right, you have to find out your face shape. You don't know your face shape.
No,
I know you don't. Right, but every woman knows their face shape, and if you talk to them long enough, right, mm-hmm. they know what cut of their nails looks good on their hand. Mm-hmm. Right, things that men don't ever, not ever, but most men never really consider. Right, they're all like a low-level artist, and I just love that sometimes. Like, you look way better in that than this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and how long did it take you to figure that out? I don't know what I look at it. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, what sparks me to be an artist is that want to explain. What gets me jumping is through conversations with people like, oh, that's a question mark. Let me see if I can figure this out. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can make something to where it now becomes self-explanatory. This is a 50 cent liquor cabinet. And one thing I've been tasked with is to, bring people to the moment. One thing Qyjon the Icon is going to do, I'm going to bring you to the moment. So I love the human body. I live for it. Like, I live for arms, legs, torsos, right? Anything of that nature to bring you to the moment, right? So I was asked by somebody who saw one of my pieces to make a 50 cent liquor cabinet. And I think that we skip over a lot of artists' contributions to humanity, and especially black artists. Like, the fact that 50 Cent can be a Halloween costume, right? If you just wear the bulletproof vest, right, white tee, a do-rag,
and that's 50 Cent.
You're 50, right? The fact that because 20 years later, the fad is over. In the club it's old, right? But the fact that he did something and created a look that has entered the cultural consciousness, I felt compelled once I was asked, yes, I will make you a 50 cent liquor cabinet. Absolutely, I will do that. I will find the pictures. I will take the time. I will look at his career. I will look at the documentaries. I will listen to the music, and I will make what needs to be made for 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you one important thing about 50 that really grinds my gears, and it just back to conversations and that artistic spark. When Donald Trump, when they attempted to assassinate him the first time, in the ear and the hand up, you know the moment.
Yeah.
Right? What song did they play?
50 Cent.
Come on, Many Men.
Yeah.
Right? And you can skip over that, right? What's happening in culture right now is there's the formalized system that we are watching die, and then there's like the memification youthful system, right? Mm-hmm. One of them is more important than the other, right? The power is slipping, and it's, you know what I mean, it's always changing. But right now, there's two different realities. There's the formalized singing in whatever older generation still reading a newspaper reality, and then there's we're going to turn this into as many different variations of a viral moment, whichever fits the algorithm that you have, right? The 50 Cent is the one that culturally, the 50 Cent moment with Donald Trump, many men coming out to that and playing that over and over with his interviews and stuff like that. That is the one that has its thumb on culture, right? Mm-hmm. And that was important. The older generation, they didn't see the same thing. However, my point is, and why I'm so happy to make a 50 Cent art piece, is because for the first time in my life, I'm 34, I got to witness rap being put in the cultural lexicon at the highest level. Mm-hmm. You understand? At this moment in time, you could not pick any other song other than 50 Cent, Many Men, a 20-year-old rap song. Pause. This is not something to just scoff at. This is 50 Cent and black people's contribution being recognized as an American thing. The American president is being put in memes, walking out to 50 Cent by the over and over and over. It wasn't just me saying it. It wasn't just you posting it. This is a unanimous thing saying that this black artist, who, mind you, is not a fad, right? He's complete in the Super Bowl. I was so happy when he was in the Super Bowl. I was like, finally, you know what I mean? We're acknowledging the, not even the importance, the cultural impact worldwide of a 50 Cent, right? So I'll get off my soapbox with that, but I was so, like, taken back by that. I was like, they didn't pick the Beach Boys when Trump got shot. Right. They didn't pick Kiss when he got shot. They didn't play Rat. They didn't play Nirvana. They didn't play the Foo Fighters. You went to who? You came to black culture. You came, which is American culture to a certain extent, right? It is. You had to come because it only made sense, right? For something that serious to be captured. So I'm happy to be working on this 50 Cent art piece. I'm not a sculptor, and some people have already made comments, which, for my creatives out there, there's one thing you got to do, right? To really be a creative, to really be an artist, there's one thing you got to do, right? And it's not something like, oh, don't care what anyone thinks. You must accept what they think and relinquish any attachment you have to their opinion, right? So someone looked at this and they're like, that doesn't look at anything like 50 Cent. I told them, that's fine from your perspective, and I'm okay with you thinking that. But the spirit didn't speak to you, the spirit spoke to me. So who am I going to listen to? You were the spirit. Right. Who do have a better, more in-depth relationship? You, a person on the internet, or the spirit that speaks within me, right? We'll work out our mistakes together. That's a relationship I have with the spirit. You and me don't really got to talk again. Right. You see? And anyone looking at your work and they try to reduce it to good or bad, 9 times out of 10, they've missed the plot. I'm not going to act like I haven't seen a bad movie. I'm not going to act like I haven't seen a bad painting, right? But once again, that's my opinion. But most of the time, if you go into something, a creative endeavor, and you're even thinking in good or bad, your thoughts are bifurcated into 2 different levels, and you've missed the plot completely. And I would also suggest that if you're a real creative, you relinquish good or bad, and you try to transition that into, like, finished or not finished, fulfilled or not fulfilled, done or not done, worth it or not worth it. There are things of that nature that pose higher level questions than good or bad. Because I got art pieces that I think are bad that won awards. You know what I mean? Or that I thought were bad or that aren't my best. You know what I mean? There's a famous linguist. His name's Noam. I'm going to mispronounce his name. Noam Chomsky. He's super famous. It's not like he's one Google click away. But he said a lot of groundbreaking things. I mean, he's a genius, you know. And one thing he said that I share with anyone who talks to me, I tell everybody, every speech, I start every speech this way. Art is the highest form of thought, right? And the reason art is the highest form of thought, this is the Noam Chomsky piece, is because metaphor is the highest level of thought. And art is the physical manifestation of metaphor. You understand, right? Okay. Humans cannot think past metaphor. If you don't believe me or you want to disagree with me, my argument is this. Have you ever seen someone speaking at a high level who did not partake in metaphor after metaphor after metaphor? The Steve Jobs, the Jay-Z's, the Noam Chomsky's, you know what I mean? The Martin Luther King's, right? The Malcolm X's, right? They all had these deep pastors, preachers. Parables are just metaphors with religious undertones, right? So the metaphor is the highest thing given to us. This is what separates us from apes who can make noises or parrots who can say words, right? They're not speaking metaphorically, right? Metaphors are meant to penetrate your thoughts at a certain level to motivate your behavior, right? That's the same thing a great art piece is supposed to do. Motivate you to change your behavior by penetrating you through the senses, right? Right. So art is the highest form of thought. It is. There's no higher level, right? If you ask any rich, or not ask any, if you notice a lot of these people who are affluent, what are their kids usually doing? They're doing something creative. A lot of them are artists because their parents have enough money to say, operate at your highest level. Oh, I want to be a painter. Okay, right. So I say all that to say, my addiction, my vice as a creative, my favorite thing to do is to sit and think at my highest level, right? Like when you see one of my art pieces throughout my career as an artist, you're witnessing me operating at my highest level for that time. There's artwork now from all things I've learned about what glue to use, what polyurethane to use, how long that takes to dry, how long that how that's going to look structurally, what bolts, what nuts, what vice grips to use, what saw to use, what wax burns slow enough to be on an art piece, and how does that sound verbiate off of that type of wood. All these things that I've learned, you're watching me operate at my highest level. As a matter of fact, like just a week ago, I didn't know how to cut a brick. Do you know how to cut a brick?
No.
Without any tools?
No, sir.
Like, I didn't know. You got to put the brick on something that absorbs the hit. So like a bag of sand or like a really dense pillow. You got to crack it at a certain angle with the chisel, right? One way, the other way, flip it, the other way, and then it just cracks in half, right? This is me thinking at my highest level at 3 in the morning. How do I crack a brick and make this art piece, right? Like, but this is where art takes me, or takes me, and then I hope it takes you. So for my creatives out there, don't be afraid of the thoughts that come to you that you don't have the answers to, because you are partaking, once you're really in the creative process, at thinking at your highest level.
Can you mind grab that? You want me to grab it?
Yeah.
This right here?
Having a child, this is how it's affected me, right? Like, these are my daughter's paintings, and like, her dad is a weird artist guy who I'm not just like, oh yeah, that's cute. Like, I'm genuinely like, okay, what color's next? Okay, what else are you gonna do? And she makes me, I'm trying to keep my composure, but I get to tear up when I think about her creating, because I'm not grading her. I have no expectations of her but to create. And there's a freedom in that.
Right.
You know, because it's my child. There's a freedom in me just being next to her. And she sees me doing it and she wants to do it. So she's like, oh, Daddy, I want to make artwork like you. And me being able to expose her to that freedom at that age, I want to set her up to never fully succumb or give up that part of herself from the jump. This is what I want her to think like there's a different way to do that. I can do that. I can create that. There's something in me that no one else has that I'm able to show. Right? I'm teaching her that through this. This didn't exist before she did it. You know what I mean? And I slowly watch her childish artwork become more sophisticated as the months go by. And I'm fostering that. I'm not pushing it down. I'm encouraging it. And when she doesn't want to do it no more, I am already prepared to say, you don't got to. Because the last thing I want to do is to try to squeeze her like she's a tube of toothpaste to get the creativity out of her. It can lay dormant or it can go away. Like, I'm gonna love you anyway.
Right.
But for now, as a creative, the way it's affected me is just watching how it's so needed, right? We gotta turn the tablet off. We gotta turn the TV off. You and Dad gotta, sit down and we're gonna paint. And we gotta talk, and you gotta use your hands and tell me how it makes you feel, you know what I mean? So that's how it's affected me as an artist. I've become a big softie, as you can see. With the art piece, I kind of want to time travel. That's one of my favorite things to do with collage, is not just to bring you to the moment, but bring you to the moment and then show you where that moment led to, right? So if you look here, it's like rookie year Jordan. Right? Now, I'm not going to go through every image because I'll be here all day. There's 1,000 images. But there's this one aspect right here, right? Where you see young Jordan transitioning kind of into like, middle career Mike. You can see these heads, right? It says repressed, right? So much of the natural self of who you are, you have to push down to be great, right? That's an element of Michael Jordan we kind of skip past, right? I had this in-depth discussions. I'm black. I'm a man. At some point, I've argued Kobe or Jordan or LeBron. At some point, right? And one element of Jordan's character that I have no opinion on, but I like to bring up, is that he's a psychopath. He's not a normal person, right? And one element of success we don't talk about enough is how much psychopathy is needed to get to that level, right? You don't become Michael Jordan because you shake hands and kiss babies, right? You become Michael Jordan because you're overly hyper-focused on becoming the greatest thing you can be, right? Becoming a symbol of greatness to the point you just see a picture of Michael Jordan, the first thing you think is excellence, execution, which brings us to the back, right? Now, here's what a lot of people don't want to accept about greatness. No matter what, there's a peak. Right? As a matter of fact, for me, what matters most is not your peak, but like what you do after the peak, right? I love artists, athletes, anyone. I love them after their peak, because many people after their peak are just as good. You just got used to them. Right? They're still just as good. They still make just as good of stuff. Like, my favorite Lil Wayne music is actually post Carter 3. I love Sorry for the Wait and Sorry for the Wait 2. Those are my favorite. And that's way beyond prime Wayne, but he still was Wayne, right?
Right.
So this is the peak. Even Jordan had a peak. And I want to capture that essence of the big city Chicago feel. Michael Jordan, when the shoe was the best shoe on the planet, no questions. So I want to catch it as at the back, because even Jordan had a rise and a fall, which is like, oh, Jordan, yeah, we all do, because Father Time is undefeated, right? He's undefeated, and you go from the peak to over here, tail end of the career, right? Because although I do love Michael Jordan, he retired. He didn't play this lengthy, long career that some other players have. Of course, they pale in comparison. I'm not going to say like his 20 years is comparable to Jordan's, but there was breaks in there. The Wizard years weren't as good as they could have been because, like I said, Father Time always wins. But I did want to highlight bringing people to the moment. There's two elements to this I want to show. One, there's this picture of Dennis Rodman. And people are, why would you put that picture there? Well, that's what was happening, right? The first man I ever seen in my life cross-dress or have anything questionable was Dennis Rodman, right? And I remember when he spoke about why he did that, and his attention-seeking behavior and why he did what he did and why he was so outlandish. I'll let you look it up for yourself. I won't ruin it. But I had to show what Dennis Rodman really brought to the Bulls. The craziness, the freedom, the this, the that, right? He brought something that you need to be great because you need a team, right? Basketball is not an individual sport. Rodman didn't care about scoring points. He was crazy, but he could rebound better than almost anybody, right? So that was why I got an authentic picture of him. And then this is the part. Well, I guess I got two parts, and then I'm done. This part is that legendary shot where Michael Jordan overly solidified who he was, right? Overly did the solidification of Michael Jordan in the psyche of American sports fans when he shot that shot in 1998. I captured it inside of the basketball hoop, and for my collage artists out there, peak. If you don't do collage, you're like, what's the big deal? If you're a collage artist and you see this in person, you're gonna be like, guys, it's like a quadruple collage on top of one. But if you're just a regular person, you're like, it's a picture. You know what I mean? But I cut the net out, it's there, the crowd is there, like, there's a hoop, you know what I mean? Like, this is next level collaging. This is not just the first day of the week on the job. Like, this is next level, right?
I didn't even realize that, so you pointed it out.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Hey, it beats like that. And then the last element is this up here, right? Because like I said, rise and fall. We will peak, we will stop. There's him and his retirement speech. And then in black and white is the old memories of who he was. And then the color, the last time we kind of saw him play, you know what I mean? But I want to tell the whole narrative. And then obviously, in the front, one of the most iconic pictures in sports history, you know what I mean? Is this right here, you know what I mean? So I really proud of this. It's my latest art piece that's complete. I'm working on that, but this is my latest complete art piece. And I got a couple people wanting to buy it already, so that's a good thing.
That's good on you.
Yeah. So this is a Malcolm X chair. And one of the reasons I like to make chairs is because I think we all sit at a different perspective, right? I sit in my perspective, you sit in your perspective, and hopefully we can come to the table together. Right, that's just something that I always think about. So I always make chairs because you never understand someone's perspective till you sit in it. You get what I'm saying? So I love Malcolm X as a kid. He's one of the few positive black examples I was allowed to be given in school. Right, he was given to us, so by any means necessary. So I always identified with that. And the more and more I looked into Malcolm X and read autobiographies and things of that nature, I was really appreciative of his honesty, and his story is similar to Jesus in the fact that the truth he was speaking got him, taken out, right? So it's like a weary tale of how powerful the truth can be in your life, right? Like him finding out that racism was like a uniquely American thing, right? And then him trying to push that message, and then that's when you get taken out. right? When you're pushing the ultimate level, highest level of thought, right? When you're pushing the highest level of thought, you see what happens, right? So sometimes you're gonna sit in that perspective, and that's what this chair is about, right? That's why I got many different powerful black images. That's also important to me. A lot of images given to me were like NWA, G Unit, things of that nature, Boys in the Hood. And a lot of images given to me of what a black person was always negative. So a lot of my artwork, what I try to accomplish, what I try to do is to present a realistic human view of what a black person or black people experience, or who black people are, right? I've got this thing I would tell people about racism where it's like, if you brought a tape recorder or just a voice recorder to me at my Christmas party with my family, like, it sounds probably just like yours, the white person or Mexican person. It's the same conversations. What are you up to? What are you doing? Right. When I go to see my family, it's not like we're shooting dice and or whatever, on a movie, right? So I take that same thought and I try to put it in my artwork. That's why I got Malcolm X with his family. I got black fatherhood, things of that nature. And then same thing on the other side, but I want to show the front, right? I found myself liking to not rip off, not take per se, but utilize things that are recognizable to draw you in, right? So I really do like the craftsmanship of the Louis Vuitton bags. I like the price point of Louis Vuitton. I like how they price their things the way they want to price them. I appreciate the craftsmanship, and I appreciate the respect of the brand in both ways. You don't see much fake Chanel, right? Obviously, I know it exists, but I'm saying like people wearing Chanel shirts and wearing right? We know most of the Louis you see is off-brand. I love that most of the Louis you see is not authentic Louis Vuitton. I love that because it shows like the power of identifying with luxury or a brand, right? But then I also love, if you go on the Louis Vuitton website, like the prices are still the same. They haven't taken the bait. Like, well, if we can sell t-shirts, let's sell t-shirts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because some people, they'll take the bait. They'll just start selling merch. Oh, you guys like that? That's what we do now. They'll just flip their whole brand. Like Louis is like, we know we're getting ripped off left and right. Their Louis Vuitton shirts are not made by Louis Vuitton 90% of the time, right? But they're not making shirts. They're still making high quality bags. So I want to put that on this chair to draw people in, and also to have the person who purchased it, feel like they have like a luxury piece of furniture. Like, that's just something that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is one of my latest pieces, and I'm really proud of it. And everything is for sale. Well, yes, I at least want to have the art show in the next year or half, or 2 years. I really want to do a Unity in the Community art show, and I really want to provide an economic opportunity for a young creative person, or a creative person period. I really don't care about age, but I would hope it will be somebody who has a lot more time on this planet to create. And I want it to be a financial benefit for somebody who is like a man or a woman of the people. Like, right, that's what I want to focus on, right? Me, I'm not past my prime or nothing like that, but when it comes to caring about creatives and being in a creative space, I want to use my wisdom, maturity, and intellect to influence the next people, right? Get them started earlier, because had I started earlier, I might be in a different artistic space. I didn't know Qyjon the Icon was inside of me. I was thinking about something else. So in the next year, to stay on task with the question, I really want to bring about an art piece that brings unity in the community of creatives and gives, like I said, that economic opportunity, that jumpstart to somebody where they don't got to worry about rent so much. They can sit and get to that highest level of thinking to create. Right. That's my goal. And as far as me, when it comes to creativity, I'm living it. Like, this is who I am as a person, top to bottom. There's no getting out of it. Like, all of my loose thoughts and loose moments, they go to like color palettes and oh my God, and like to the table. If anything, I have to condense, like, all right, bro, you don't need another couch. Like, let's sell one and then make another one, right? So that's also why I'm more focused on hopefully creating an opportunity for others. Because I know I'm never gonna stop doing this. Like I promised myself, and I tell any woman who dates me, I say like I'll always have a space that's like normal, and I'll stop when the house is full and you like can't move. Okay, then I'll stop or give stuff away, but I'm nowhere near that. So I'm gonna keep creating until it gets to you know what I mean. So I don't really need to be like focused on I need to sell. My focus is now, how can I provide an opportunity I wish I had at 24?
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
Like, and then through that, whatever happens to me. But I want to create, through meeting people like you and this person, that person, where we get together for the community of artists and make sure that one of them, at least for this next 3 months, you don't got to worry about paint at all.
Right.
Buy all the paint you need. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes 100% sense.
So that's my goal, is to hopefully be in a space or create a space or an opportunity for a young, I keep saying young, an artist, but preferably a young artist to think at their highest level and feel comfortable doing so because they don't got to worry about money.